wonderful world of Disney. From Walt Disney's wonderful world of color, we bring you An Otter in the Family. And now your host, Walt Disney.
That's it. I guess every kid sometime in his life has dragged a stray dog up to the front door and yelled, "Hey, Mom, look what followed me home. Can I keep him?" Well, he just wanted a pet, and that's natural enough. Nearly every kid wants a pet. Of course, most kids end up with dogs or cats. But many other animals make good pets, too, like this little skunk here. Right, fella? You know, quite a few people have pet skunks. And then there are others with African lions, cheetahs, bears. In fact, I had a couple of kangaroos once, until they ate up all the flower beds around the studio. Here, little fella, you go on out and play now. But if you really want a troublemaker, then get an otter. It's not that they don't make good pets, but they do have a way of getting their noses into just about everything. And it makes it even worse if you already have another pet who gets his nose out of joint about it all. Well, that's what this program is all about. A little boy, a jealous dog, and an otter in the family.
Hiya, Tim. Hi. Good boy. Come on, let's go.
To start with, Gary Blaine wasn't just an ordinary little boy. For one thing, he'd been born with an almost mystic touch with animals. And for another, he had Tim. And Tim was about the best friend a little boy ever had.
Go get it, Tim. What is it, Tim? What you got in there? Hey, he's caught in a trap. Poor little fella. Come on, Dad'll fix you up.
It was a baby otter, and it was hurt and scared. Tim's barking wasn't helping it any either.
Tim, get down. Tim! Tim, sit down there and stay there.
Your son's bringing home another mouth to feed.
Well, what did he have this time? Whatever it was, it sounded like it had stirred up all 400 of the mink.
Can we go inside, Dad? Tim's got him scared to death.
Sit down, Tim.
Can we keep him, Dad?
Howard figured he must have heard that question 1,000,000 times. And for some reason, he always ended up saying yes. He didn't know quite why, but he just could never seem to turn the boy down.
Let's see that foot now.
Is it bad?
Just a little cut here. Looks like we'll have to keep him for a while.
Tim couldn't understand why they'd locked him out. Pets had never caused him any trouble before, and he and Gary had collected them by the dozen, from snakes and frogs to turtles and grasshoppers and mice. But it looked like the Otter was different. They were adopting him into the family. Tim didn't like that a bit, and he wasn't going to keep quiet about it either.
Now, let's see if we can keep a bandage on you.
Put plenty on. He'll get well quicker.
The Otter had been badly frightened, but the gentle hands and the soothing voices were reassuring. He decided to relax and enjoy it.
There. You think you can walk on it?
That was a pretty good question. He'd need some time to work out an answer.
Gee, he looks fine, Dad.
And so he was. The little cut would heal quickly. The animal with the bad hurt was the one outside.
What a snoop. He's getting into everything.
Snoop, that'd be a pretty good name for him.
Yeah, let's call him Snoop. Tim, get back!
Tim! I'm sorry, Tim.
Well, Tim knew they'd let him in at dinner time anyway. He'd been fed in the kitchen since he was a pup. Wrong again. But they couldn't keep him outside forever. He'd just have to wait for his chance. When evening came, though, Tim was still waiting. And inside, Snoop was still the king.
Gary,
Yes?
what are you going to do about Tim?
Oh, he'll be okay. Anyway, Snoop's gonna sleep with me tonight. Good night, Dad.
Good night, son.
Good night, Mom.
Good night, Gary.
Snoop? Come on, Snoop. Come on, Snoop. Come on up here. Attaboy.
Between Tim's barking and all the giggling, the evening was getting much too noisy. Martha had decided she'd better come up and restore some order. While she was at it, she was hoping to talk Gary into being a little easier on Tim. but it was obvious that matter was better left till another time.
Good night, Gary.
Good night, Mom.
Well, as far as Tim could see, that was the end of that for tonight. It didn't leave him in a very good humor, and he had to find something to take it out on. In the process, he made darn sure there weren't any more animals around that Gary might bring home. Meantime, as soon as everyone had gone to sleep, Snoop was awake again, and quite by accident, rid of his bothersome bandage. All otters are natural-born escape artists, and Snoop was no exception. It was no trouble at all to find a way outside. Of course, he hadn't meant to meet another otter, but somehow it was no surprise to him when he did. A pup about his own age. The two young animals made friends quickly, and their night was spent in the long round of carefree play, which is the otter's staff of life. Snoop never had any intention of giving up his new home, though, and well before daylight, he was on his way back. No one even suspected he'd been gone. Shortly after dawn that same morning, Al Whitley, who lived next door to the Blaines, got started on the day's chores. Gathering the eggs was a dull job, but usually he was so sleepy he hardly remembered doing it. On this particular morning, though, he found something he'd remember for a long time.
Varmint.
Empty and broken eggs, at least 3 dozen. Some new varmint must have moved into the area. Well, he'd have to get rid of it. He made most of his living from those eggs. Tim's morning had started off badly, too. He was still in exile, and by now the little otter had made himself right at home.
Well, good morning, sir. And how are you this morning? Oh, you are a Snoop, aren't you?
Yes, he was, and a shameless one at that. But he couldn't help himself. He was an otter, and otters are insatiably curious.
Hey, you're gonna make a mess in there. Come on, let's get you dry. There, you like that.
Hey, Mom, is Snoop down here?
He sure is.
What happened?
Oh, he gave himself a bath. Didn't you, fella?
After a morning bath, of course, comes breakfast. And Snoop made it absolutely clear that that was what he wanted next. The main dish this morning was scrambled eggs, very much to his liking, although not at all to Tim's. For an otter, Snoop's table manners were impeccable, until he made the mistake of trying out his boarding house reach.
Gary, that's enough. You'd better get him outside.
Okay, Mom.
Outside, though, was Tim's territory. Gary figured he'd better try the front door, but so did Tim.
How am I gonna get out of here?
We'll just have to fool him.
Martha didn't like it, but the only solution was to give Tim the fast shuffle.
Shh, wait here. Come on, Tim.
Now to find out what was so special about that blankety-blank little Otter once and for all. Probably hiding up in Gary's room. Strange, he didn't seem to be anywhere in there. Must be downstairs then. Just wait till he caught up with that. Wait a minute. Someplace he hadn't looked. Nope, not even in there. Didn't seem right for Gary to treat him like this. They'd always been pals. Gone everywhere together. Funny, not in the kitchen either. Where else could the little so-and-so hide around this house? Couldn't be in the bookcase or under the television. He had to be in here. Oops, already looked up there. Well, he'd find him pretty soon and get this business straightened out then and there. Trying to take his best friend away from him. Just didn't seem fair. Uh-oh, maybe they'd tricked him again.
Take it easy, fella. It'll be all right.
Put an otter on the ground and he always goes the same direction, straight for the nearest mud puddle.
Morning, Gary.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Whitley.
I see you got a new pet.
It's Snoop. We just got him yesterday.
He's a cute little fella. What do you feed him?
Oh, eggs and stuff like that.
Well, eggs, huh?
Yeah, he loves eggs.
Does he sleep outside?
No, he stayed with me last night.
I wonder if it could have been you got in him. Ow!
Snoop!
Well, Snoop broke up that conversation. But he was too late to keep Al Whitley from having his suspicions about the egg-loving little varmint who had just moved in next door. By the end of summer, Snoop had grown into a big varmint, and he had managed to win the love of everyone in the family. Except, of course, for Tim.
Mom!
I know.
By now, though, the fast shuffle had turned into a slow one, and everyone knew his part by memory. By now, too, Tim had just about given up hope of ever getting closer to the Otter than the width of a screen door. During the summer, Snoop's nightly visits to the outside world had become a regular routine. As soon as everything was quiet, he was up again and on the way to his secret rendezvous. The only tricky part was just outside, where he always had to tiptoe to get by Tim. Now, it could have been only a coincidence, but Al Whitley's hen house had been raided nearly every night since Snoop's arrival. The hens were being frightened half out of their wits, and eggs were being smashed and eaten by the dozen. It added up to a lot of money lost, and neither trap nor gun could put a stop to it. Whitley finally narrowed his list of suspects to one. That was when he told Howard. He figured it had to be Snoop.
Yeah, Al, all right. Bye.
Well, egg stealing was a pretty serious charge in this part of the country. So just to be on the safe side, Howard made up a leather harness for the Otter. When it was first buckled on, Snoop objected to it the only way he could, with passive resistance. After a few days, though, and a few more calls from Al Whitley, it was clear the harness hadn't helped. So Howard decided he'd try a stronger measure, keeping Snoop in the mink compound. There was another advantage to this idea. Now they could let Tim out of the house for a change.
Okay, Mom. Come on, Tim. Tim!
Now at last, Snoop had the chance to meet his cousins, the mink, face to face. This was sure a noisy bunch. He wondered if they were all like that. They were, and copycats besides. When one screams, they all scream.
Hey, don't scare the mink.
The mink seemed to share a common feeling about Snoop. Even if he was a cousin, they wished he was a cousin once removed. It wasn't that Snoop tried to get in trouble. Trouble just seemed to follow him around. But then he didn't try very hard to stay out of it either.
Hey, my tobacco.
Perhaps Snoop's greatest talent, once he was in trouble, was getting out of it again by playing the whole thing for laughs.
Having trouble?
Why don't you take care of him for a while?
The way it worked out, Martha not only did Howard and the mink a favor, she'd done one for Snoop, too. Now he had a whole basket full of new toys to play with, and he set out to make the most of his opportunity. Then a strange thing happened. The harder he tried to get back to the basket, the further away it got. Before long, he'd come to the end of his rope. Of course, to get him untangled, Martha had to unfasten him. That happened to be the moment when Gary and Tim came home, and the stage was finally set for the showdown.
Hey!
Tim, come back here!
So, the great battle that everyone had tried so hard to prevent was over. It even looked suspiciously as if the two enemies hadn't really wanted to fight in the first place. At any rate, to everyone's relief, the problem was solved at last. During the next few days, the new friendship grew and deepened. But then the other unsolved problem came up again, the one of Snoop's whereabouts during the night.
Morning, Howard.
Morning, Warden. Hello, Howard. Al?
Howard, it's about your otter. Al here still thinks he's getting out nights.
Little varmint busted pretty near 4 dozen eggs last night.
Now, I know a wild animal like an otter is pretty hard to keep track of.
The warden's right. You just can't expect to know where he is all the time.
It was the same old accusation that Al Whitley was making, but this time he meant to make it stick. He had a serious problem, all right, and Howard knew it. There was really no alternative but to promise he'd do everything he could to keep Snoop out of any more trouble. One final test had to be made, though. Could Snoop get out of the house when all the doors were locked?
Now you go outside and call him. Go ahead, call him.
Snoop, come on, Snoop.
Call him again, Gary.
Come on, Snoop. Don't come out, Snoop. Don't.
So Snoop had given himself away, and Gary knew he'd have to be kept in a cage from now on. The rest of his day was spent in quiet agony in his treehouse, and the sound of Howard's sawing only seemed to make things worse. Naturally, when the cage was finished, Snoop had to be put in it. That was when Gary and Snoop had their first slight disagreement. Well, for the first time in his life, Snoop had lost an argument. This was an awful place, but at least he had a swimming pond, although it was a kind of a tight fit. Snoop was willing to try almost anything to pass the time, but rocking only made him dizzy. He finally had to settle for just sitting in the corner and sucking his thumb. Darkness came, and Snoop knew he had a date to keep. He wanted out. And when an otter wants something badly enough, he gets it sooner or later. the night was a good question. But next morning in Al Whitley's hen house was evidence of where he might have been. At about the same time, Snoop, on his way home, was having a short but unforgettable experience.
It's Snoop. I knew he'd come home. Ooh, he must have gotten with a skunk.
I'll say he must have. You better take him down to the pond and wash him off.
Okay, Mom.
Gary never stopped to think Snoop could have been into Mr. Whitley's hen house last night. He was just happy to have him home and happy for the chance to take him swimming. Once Snoop got in the water, Gary knew it'd be hours before he could get him out again. Besides, his mother hadn't said he couldn't go in too. To make things even better, Snoop came up with a good-sized trout, and that brought in the competition. And so, between Gary trying to catch Snoop and Tim trying to catch a fish, the day turned into one big free-for-all.
Hey, Snoop, come on up and try this. Whee! Hey, look at Snoop! Come on, Tim. Whee!
I tell you, Howard, there's no decision to make. You've got to get rid of that otter.
Gary, what in the world happened to you?
I fell in the pond.
It's the same thing I smell at the hen house every morning. Besides, he's trap-wise. I've got traps everywhere, and he's never touched one. You got to get rid of him, Howard.
Maybe so. We'll think about it. I'll let you know what we decide. Well, get in the back. I'll take you home. Talk to you later, Al.
Oh, sure. Fine.
In the sudden, horrible fear that he was going to lose Snoop, Gary forgot all about how dirty he was. It didn't exactly pass unnoticed at home, though. So before anything else, he had to take a bath. And after all, a bath with Snoop was the best way in the world of forgetting all your troubles. Tim must have thought it was a repeat performance of this morning's fun. Anyway, he just had to get his feet wet, too. Of course, the news of that kind of activity was bound to leak through to Father in a hurry.
Hey, what's going on up there?
Well, Howard had put off his decision for as long as he could, but the flooded basement was the last straw. As much as they all loved him, Snoop was a born troublemaker, and that was all there was to it. Scaring the mink, making Tim jealous, 100 other pranks, and of course, worst of all, he was an egg thief. As Al Whitley had said, there was really no decision to make.
We'll turn him loose tomorrow up at Cranberry Lake. He'll like it there.
It's beautiful up there, Gary. He'll have everything he needs.
It was a 4-hour drive to Cranberry Lake. 4 hours of pure misery for Gary. He knew in his heart that Snoop couldn't be guilty. But now, even if there was a way, it was much too late to prove it.
Come on, Gary. We'd better get it over with.
Goodbye, Snoop.
Of course, to Snoop, there was no sadness here. This was simply a marvelous new adventure to be enjoyed to the fullest, and there wasn't a moment to waste. Strange. They must have forgotten him. Well, it had been a long drive up here. It was going to be an awfully long walk back. For Gary, it was the end of his 9-year-old world. No one could comfort him, no one could help him, not even Tim, who did his best. By the time he'd been on his own for a week, Snoop had made it almost halfway home. The trail was long and hard, with 100 different kinds of obstacles, but nothing could distract him from his course. Once in a while, though, he was delayed a little by the temptation to investigate some strange new animal. Occasionally, there was a strange new animal who wanted to investigate Snoop. 2 weeks had passed now, and the world had begun to look a little brighter to Gary. But still, once in a while, he retreated to the privacy of his treehouse where he didn't have to let his feelings show to anyone but Tim. That night, the trouble started all over again. For the first time in 2 weeks, turmoil in Al Whitley's hen house.
Well, I told them they better keep you away from here.
Oh, no! Watch out for the glass, Gary.
Let go of him, Snoop. Let go.
All in all, it was quite a homecoming. And to top it off, Al Whitley was on the phone. That egg-thieving Otter had just raided his hen house again. Howard knew that this time he had to do something really permanent with Snoop. He didn't like it any more than Gary, but there was only one solution, and it was best done quickly.
But why put him in the zoo?
We'll talk about it tomorrow. I'll go to sleep.
But, Mom!
You have to be a man about it, son.
Good night, Gary.
Good night.
Good night, son.
Dad's last words had started Gary thinking. A man wouldn't take a thing like this lying down, and there was something he could do about it if he did it tonight. Gary figured it like this. Something had been getting into Mr. Whitley's hen house. All he had to do was wait there long enough, and he was sure to catch it.
Oh, no, Snoop. It was you. Get out of here. Go on, get out of here. Go on, go home. It's a skunk! Look, Mr. Whitley, it's a skunk!
I see that. Get him out from under my nose, will you?
I caught him in your chicken coop.
I'm convinced, Gary. I'm convinced. Just keep on.
Mr. Whitley? I'm sorry, Mr. Whitley, but it really was a skunk.
Next morning, Gary had a chore to do. It should have been a happy one, despite the odor. But Snoop was gone. And after all the shooting last night, Gary was sure he'd never come back. He couldn't have been more wrong. They hadn't been able to get rid of him before, and Gary should have known a few gunshots wouldn't be enough to keep him away now. No, Snoop had been late coming home for another reason entirely. It was just that he had to spend most of the night coaxing his friend to come back with him. Well, it didn't take an expert to know Snoop's friend was a lady friend. And for Howard's part, it didn't take a crystal ball to see into the future either. The Otter in the family, almost overnight it seemed, had turned into a family of otters.